Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here for WeAreChange.org, and today we're going to be talking about manufactured outrage, and especially in relation to the events at Charlottesville. Now, the media since those events has been non-stop pounding into people's heads that white supremacists are going to take over. The Trump administration did not do enough to condemn these white supremacists, and everybody on the left and Antifa were peaceful protesters. Well, folks, unfortunately, the video evidence contradicts this on a massive level. Now, first of all, let it be known that I do not condone racism of any kind towards any race, and I am certainly not a white nationalist and not in support of white nationalist viewpoints in any way, shape, or form. And I would also like to say that I condemn these views in the highest regards possible. However, we live in a country where free speech is vital, and we have to protect the most vile of speech so people like myself can say things that may go against the grain, but need to be heard. Now, let's go after some of these myths one by one. The myth, first of all, that the president didn't condemn these attacks. Well, yes, he did.
Remember this Saturday. We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. And then I went on from there. I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups.
Secondly, the president also said that both sides were indeed violent.
You had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent.
Now, we only need to go to the Vice documentary where white nationalist Chris Cantwell turned national pariah is maced twice by Antifa protesters. Yes, twice. And although I don't share Cantwell's viewpoints in any regards, remember folks, this violence took place before the incident with the car. So once again, we have evidence that the left indeed was using force. Now, another thing that the president said was, where does this stop? Does it stop with the statue of Robert E. Lee? Does it go to George Washington next? Thomas Jefferson?
So, this week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week, and is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
Well, of course, the media attacked Mr. Trump for these viewpoints. But again, in context, he simply pointed out that both of these men were indeed slave owners. So we have to ask ourselves, how much longer will these monuments be allowed to be displayed on American soil?
Well, no, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner.
After all, it was only days after that Al Sharpton called for the removal of Jefferson's statue. And this isn't going to end, folks. Things like this are going to continue on until many of our national monuments are gone. And this isn't to endorse monuments based in the Confederacy or in the South. I don't think they have their place on the grounds of public and government buildings either. But that doesn't mean we erase our history. Perhaps they would be best suited to be in a museum where their context could be displayed for all to see and hopefully understand. After all, who was going to be able to challenge the Queen and England if it were not aristocratic white men at the time? And aristocratic white men in this country were indeed slave owners. Unfortunately, this is history, and these are facts. We can't change them. In closing, I'd like to point out that the media is quick to condemn Trump and his administration when they present facts, just like we showed you today. However, they praise him when he bombs Afghanistan, when he talks tough on Syria, or he says that we could possibly go in with fire and fury in North Korea. Well, folks, I think that has to change. We need to stop this manufactured outrage and pay attention to what's really going on. As always, if you like this video, please share it on social media, and please visit WeAreChange.org. It's only through your financial support that reports like this one are possible.